Hey everybody, what is up? Fourth Seraph here, and today we're going to talk a little bit about a game mode that I think they should introduce into Overwatch that I think would add an interesting dynamic and make a lot of the non-meta characters actually very viable. But before we get into that, I do want to let you guys know that I do have Amazon affiliate links, so if you're going to buy anything off Amazon, using those links, it doesn't even have to be those products. There is one down there now that should bring you just to the homepage of Amazon. Whatever you buy doesn't cost you anything extra, just helps support my channel, which allows me to make higher quality videos and streams and be able to do that just more often and more consistently and not have to worry as much about actually working a real job and stuff like that. So if you're going to buy anything, I would appreciate it if you would use that link. But let's get into the video. So it's no surprise to anyone that Overwatch doesn't have a lot of game modes, and there are a lot of characters or a lot of classifications of characters that just don't really work in those game modes. If you know anything about the meta, you know that there's a few characters that kind of sit on the bottom of the meta, and those are the builders and the snipers. Now, in certain levels of play, Hanzo can be good, and he does have his uses, and maybe once they buff Widow, but really the snipers aren't super useful. I mean, Ana's not really a sniper, she's a healer, which is why you kind of see her, and she's good for healing and maybe dealing with Pharah, but other than that, like, she's not super useful as a DPS. Her actual sniping isn't really what makes her a good character, it's her kit and everything else. And the builders, if you guys have watched my stream, you know that there's one thing that I hate, and that is when people play Torbjorn in competitive. He is so bad that he's basically just a useless character, and playing against any type of good team, Symmetra becomes pretty useless too, because they'll just focus her down, kill her right away, she won't be able to get her teleporter, and that's what makes her useful. But if they have a good harasser, they'll kill Symmetra, they'll destroy her teleporter right away, and you won't get the advantage of that. And so playing against competent people, Symmetra isn't really useful anyway, so these builders and the snipers are very useful. Now, a lot of the comparisons between Overwatch and other games, they compare it to TF2. I used to play a lot of Team Fortress 2 and really enjoyed that game for a while, and I think that in a lot of ways they are similar, but the big difference is that I think the most popular map in TF2 was this one called 2 Fort. And if you haven't played that game, what that map was is it's basically two bases on either side with a briefcase in them. And it's essentially a capture the flag type game mode. And so you'd have to defend yours as well as capture the enemy team's briefcase. This is a capture the flag type game mode, super equal on either side. So there's no advantage to either one. Like, all the Overwatch maps now give some type of respawn advantage, different stuff. They're not symmetrical. This was a super symmetrical map, and it made for an interesting thing. You would have your engineer or your builder class go and build down below, guarding the briefcase. You would have your attack characters go trying to capture the other one. There was a scout character, which would be like the equivalent of Tracer, that could run faster, that would be your runner. You had your DPS characters that were supposed to kill, and you had your medic characters that were supposed to heal, and then you had essentially your defense character, which was your sniper. Now, besides characters being completely out of the meta, like a lot of the snipers and builders are, the defense characters really don't get a lot of love. They really are so niche that on any given map, they're not useful enough on the whole map to warrant a pick over another character. Mei is probably the most viable of any of them, but more for just being able to stall things out, to zone enemies. But her actual potential, even still, is mainly minimized in certain parts of each map. Characters like Junkrat can be really effective in one spot and super ineffective in another, same with Bastion or any of the other defense characters. Most of them you just really shouldn't pick most of the time. And I think by adding another game mode like this, a capture the flag, where your team actually has to have a balance of attack, defense, tank, healer, builder, all of this stuff, I think that would be really good. Not only that, I think this would open up Overwatch to more than just a 6v6 every time. Now, I'm not sure if that's something that is purposeful, if that's something that they want to stick with for the entire life of Overwatch and never change, but it could be cool to have more players in a game. Imagine if it was an 8v8 or a 10v10 in a game mode like this, a capture the flag, so you could have 2 builders, you could have a couple tanks, one healer or 2 healers, some DPS, and a couple tracers or faster characters. Another thing that this would do is I think it would bring Soldier back into the meta because his sprint ability would become really useful in situations like that. It would give Tracer a really good viability, and I think it would balance out a lot of the characters. And honestly, any ones that weren't good are probably characters that are used a lot anyways. Think about Mei being able to wall off certain areas of your base so enemies just can't even come through and they're forced and funneled into one area that's heavily defended. I think this could be a really interesting thing, having some type of map similar to 2 Fort, where it's a base on either side and a couple routes to go back and forth. I think it would bring a lot of characters into the meta that aren't already. But here's the problem with this, is that Blizzard has very limited time and staff to be able to make stuff. They can't make 100 different game modes at the same time, and so I'm going to talk about this next thing a lot in a lot of my upcoming videos, but mod tools. We need mod tools. Think how amazing it would be if people could make their own maps. And then if those maps are really good and received well by the community, then Blizzard can create a competitive listing similar to what CSGO has, where not all of the maps are in play in like the competitive string all the time, only the best ones are. So if I just go make a map that's just completely nothing, it's just ground and it's a big open space, that map doesn't get played in competitive. But if someone makes a really good map that works really well, then that can get put in. This would allow people to make new game modes, new maps, and experiment with a lot of stuff, because I think Overwatch would be awesome if they keep adding heroes and all the heroes have a usefulness. I actually loved playing the engineer in Team Fortress 2, and I wouldn't mind having a game mode where Torbjorn is useful. I love the idea of like you go and you set your thing up and you build your turret, then you're defending and you're watching your point. I actually love playing roles like that, like the defensive kind of camp, like you're just in one area like patrolling it. I love doing that, and so I would love to have Symmetra and Torbjorn and characters like that be super viable again. And so the awesome part about this is it would be able to be like a PTR, but for more than just a few character nerfs or buffs. It would basically be, hey, you can go in and you can try stuff, and if it doesn't work, you could like downvote a map. If it is good, you could upvote it. Gets a certain amount of upvotes, like Blizzard would be checking and go, hey, this is a good one, this works, this fits what we're trying to do, and put it in. It would also give people, like, what if you could go in and you could play a 12v12 and not just a 6v6? You could do all sorts of different stuff and have this kind of just play around whatever you want in this certain game mode or in this certain lobby, and it can just be fun, because quick play already is just garbage. I mean, like, I can go in and play nearly any character and just dominate. I was playing with a friend even earlier today, and we're both good. He's in the top 500 right now. I'm in diamond rank, and we went in, and it wasn't even a challenge. We came in, and the other team was like right about to win on the first one, and as soon as we joined, we completely stomped them. The payload did not move another foot after that. Like, we were just destroying. And so, like, what if quick play became that? Like, it already is this thing where people just go in to mess around, but what if it was more than messing around with just a character? What if it was messing around on new maps and new game modes and things like that, and being able to actually choose your server and what one you want to play on? I think that would be actually really, really good. Even then, people could make ones that are competitive playlists, but not actually count towards your competitive, so you can practice with that rule set and those things and run strategies and go up against other 6-stack teams or whatever and actually try hard, and you're going into this playlist for the specific purpose of, I'm going in to practice competitive play, not just running around in quick play doing whatever, because quick play really isn't practice for competitive. If you're not in the PTR, you have no way to practice competitive mode. at all. And so allowing people to do this stuff, I think, would really open up the game. It would really allow it to go to its full potential, and it would allow Blizzard to just go like, hey, we can make as many characters as we want, because some will be useful in some game modes and some will be useful in other ones, and we can keep expanding the game, keep building it. There doesn't have to be a hero limit or anything like that. We can keep going because only some will be useful in some game modes, and it will really just add a lot of new stuff to the game and be super awesome. And I think a lot of these game modes would actually work really well. Being able to just allow people to make stuff, I think, would be amazing and would really set Overwatch apart from anything else out there right now. I think it would really draw a ton of people there because there would be always something fresh and new to do. But let me know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. Do you want to see a game mode like this? Do you think that the builders and snipers and some of the characters that are out of the meta would become useful again in this type of game mode, or do you just think that it wouldn't work at all? I would love to hear your thoughts or any suggestions you have for ways that Overwatch could improve. But anyways, guys, until next time, I will see you online.